think having that something to prove is back, and that's why the accountability is better?
I do. Our team had won 5 games over 2 years when we came in, 4 years ago now, and we jumped out and had a 7-win season, won a bowl game. We jumped out and went to the Orange Bowl. So all of a sudden, the narrative changed. We were one of the top teams in the country, and we were a top 10 team. And even though the previous year's team was good enough to be considered with that hype, last year's team was not. And what we did, we were talented enough to beat Miami for a 3rd time in a row, to beat Wake Forest when they were a top 10 team, to have State down by 9 points with 2 minutes left in the game, and be first and goal from the 2 with Pitt to win the game, who won the conference championship. But we weren't a consistently good enough team to finish. And that's on me. And what you hate as a head football coach is to have a team that you're the reflection of how they play, and they played inconsistently. And that's on me. And that's on our assistant coaches. And we've gone back to work, and the guys have worked really hard. And I've enjoyed this spring. Spring practice was more competitive. They understand there's a lot of question marks with this team. There's a lot of hype today around everybody. There's a lot of hope around everybody. That goes away after week 1. You get back to realism. And we're not into the hype this year. We're just into trying to get better and playing to a standard.
A follow-up question on that. How much of this was kind of initiated by conversations you and the staff had to have with some guys, and how much of it was them on their own sort of leading the way with the accountability?
The conversations with accountability have been with the staff and the players. And we've gone back to they've come up with a little thing, PAT. We've got to have more passion every week to play this game. You've got to be accountable. And that's in every little thing you do for your life and your football team. And don't do it unless it's best for you moving forward or your team. And last is toughness. You got to win more games on the road. We got to win tough games, and that comes back from toughness. So there's just a little PAT saying for them is, and I ask them every day. We had a meeting yesterday. Are you passionate about your grades? Are you passionate about this team? Are you passionate about getting better? Are you accountable? I know. I see who's going to class and who's not. I see who's showing up for meals and who's not. I see who practices hard and who's not. So we know who's accountable. And if you're not going to be accountable, and if you're not going to be passionate, then you're not going to be tough enough to play and help us win. So you're not going to play. And you're really deciding that, not us. Yes, ma'am.
You talked a lot about coaching.
Get those guys out of the way so you can get up here.
Sorry. You talked a lot about coaching inconsistencies within yourself last year. Is there something specific that you could pinpoint that you feel like, hey, if we had done this differently, if I had done this differently, it would have been a different outcome?
When we all look in retrospect, it's easier to grade ourselves. I didn't feel good at times last year, and I tried to change it, and I couldn't get people to listen. And I think they believed the hype more than me. And I could see it wasn't there. And you're in a real dilemma as a head coach that you don't want to tell them they're not any good. You don't want to tell them all the bad things about them. But again, they didn't get it. They just believed it, man. If I'm told by everybody you're the number 8 team in the country, you are. And they didn't do the little things right. And I'd bring them up and I'd show it, and they got tired of listening to me. And then they'd have this moment where you go score 60 points against Virginia, and then the next week you don't even show up at Georgia Tech. I mean, it was one of the most frustrating seasons I've ever been involved with because of the things that we didn't do right. And because of that, and because of the hype, we couldn't enjoy the things we did right. That team did a lot of great things, but because of that, the expectation was that they should have done a lot more, and we didn't get that accomplished.
Coach, looking at this season, what's one position group you're excited about? What's one position group maybe a little bit nervous about that needs a little more attention?
Oh, gosh, I'm excited about the offensive line, and that's we lost 4 starters, so that's unusual. But I like what Jack Bicknell's brought to us. I want to see Spencer Rollin, our transfer from Harvard. I want to see him live with pads because he looks good, and I like what I see. I really love what Corey Gaynor's brought to the toughness and the leadership in that room. And see if Zach Rice, he's got so much hype. He's a youngster. It's hard to play in the offensive line, but William Barnes, it's his turn. Ed Montelis, it's his turn. I just think Awesome Richards has got a chance to be good. So I'm excited about watching those guys because we were so inconsistent last year, and we can't be that way again. We just can't. I'm excited about looking at quarterbacks. I think they're both really good, and it sounds weird. I remember when we were playing Major Applewhite, Chris Sims at Texas, and it was an everyday conversation which one should play. And I was fishing up in the mountains, and I had 2 fish on at one time, and I thought, that's cool. I'll go back and say it's better to have 2 than 1. Well, it didn't work that way all the time, but we have made it work with 2. And until somebody steps up and takes over, you're going to have to play 2. And that's just it. It's on them. And we'll put tremendous pressure on them again this preseason, like game pressure every day to see who's going to be ready for the opening game. The running backs I'm concerned about because there's 6 of them that are very talented, but we've got to separate them, and 2 of them are freshmen. They're true freshmen. So how fast can we get them separated? How much do you have to hit to determine which ones of those guys should step up? And that kind of bothers me. We'll be fine at tight end. We're going to be fine at receiver. Defensive line, we got enough guys that it's time to play better and get off blocks. And like KJ Binkley's now, he's well. It's the first time he's been well since he's been here. He's 316 pounds as compared to 335. So he's got a chance to be better and play. Keyshawn Silver's doing better. So we want to be able to play at least 3 groups there and stay fresh because we've gotten tired. We don't need Miles Murphy out there tired. And that's important. We only have 5 linebackers, so that concerns me. But Ra Dilworth and Sebastian Cheeks need to step up. They got to play. We've got to start teaching Deuce Caldwell some things early. And then I think, Ross, we've got to play more consistent in the secondary. We got to communicate better, and we've got to tackle better. But I do think, and our kicker had never kicked before. We've got punters that have. So I think, again, you start looking at our roster. And I was just looking at last night to kind of think about what you would ask and what I would say. There's a lot of guys that haven't played very much, but they're very talented.
How big of an impact has Coach Chiswick made on this defense already, and how much better do you see it being because of this?
Yeah, I'm such a Gene Chiswick fan. Number one, he was with me when we won a national championship, and that not many people can say that. So, and then I saw him go somewhere else and win a national championship. So, not many people have ever played for one or won one. He's won 2. So he's a special man, and he walks into the room and has everybody's attention. He knows what he's doing. He carries that with a swag, but not an arrogance about him. He's doing a better job of teaching fundamentals. He's gone back to the basics. Everybody says how simple he is. He looks complicated, and he teaches simple. And he makes some complicated schemes look simple. But he's still got enough stuff to give the offense some issues. So, but he's teaching low pads again. He's gone back to angles. He's gone back to pursuit angles. He's gone back to tackling. He's gone back to a defensive lineman getting off blocks and linebackers playing more downhill. We've got to tackle better at safety. We've got to play better with it's got to become an 80-20 situation outside instead of 50-50. So the players are excited about him being there because of what they know he's done in the past and what he can bring them. And at the same time, he's so high energy. He had 5 years of TV and missed coaching. So he's like me. He's back and excited about it. So I'm having fun watching him have fun. And he also brings a different dynamic to the staff because he can help me so much. Because he knows what happens in my office, and he likes to keep his stuff out of my office. And that's a great thing. When I'll say sometime, did so-and-so do that? He said, I got it. Don't worry about it. I got it. Go worry about something else.
How concerned are you about
back to basics, just fundamentals? Is that what you actually do?
When I hired Gene, I really asked him to start winning on defense. You got to win. You got to play great defense. I knew him. I knew who he was. I know what he stands for. So he and I didn't have a conversation about anything except be you. Go do what I know you can do for this place. And he loves Chapel Hill so much because he had success here before. And he missed his son playing, and that's a dilemma for coaches. All of you miss your children some when you're traveling so much. It's tough, and it's what you got. So you had to make a decision, and he made a conscious decision that he needed to go home and watch his son play high school football. And now his son's at Furman. His son's doing really well, so he is totally committed and all in and doing a great job, not a good job.